Good afternoon, I'm Austin, and I'm here just to introduce myself as a facilitator on the up-and-coming programme, which is called the Herd Man, the inaugural men's programme here at Quest for Life. My background is within pharmaceuticals, but in recent years I've moved into the more direct health space, and I've had a great passion for men's health for an awful long time, basically as a consequence of some of my life experiences and those around who I've also seen. I'm Irish and I've lived in Australia for quite a long time, and I had a career as a counsellor and a psychotherapist and a facilitator for a short period of time, and I'm really passionate about it. And the consequence of that is the development of this program and the co-design of this program. And so there's a small team of us who are going to work together and hold space for men over the period of a weekend. And so this is a program that's been developed a lot from my own experiences, from education that I've had as a yoga teacher and qigong teacher, working as a counsellor and a psychotherapist, and some of the learnings that I've had from that, and just from life. I'm over 50 now and I've had a fair number of life experiences, and in co-designing I've brought in life experiences from many different men in order to create a program that we believe will be a program that will really bring men together and find a sense of community, connection, accountability, and so much more. It'll be a weekend of great insight, great connection, conversations, and some play, along with hopefully some fireside chats and some great nourishment. So that's me. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to start on this road, and now I'm going to introduce you to one of the other team members, Paul.
Thanks, Austin.
Yeah.
We're similar to Austin. You probably gather from the accent straight away. I'm from pretty much near where Austin's from, just slightly over to the east. And similar to Austin, I came over. I've been in Australia about 28 years now, myself, also an Australian citizen. Career-wise, well, I turned up in Australia with no money, ended up in the corporate world, and spent many, many years in kind of relationship management, sales roles. Meeting people very much in that world, but it was pretty purposeless, if that makes sense. But it was a way to earn some money, and obviously have a lifestyle here. Again, similar to Austin, we've had a similar path. A couple of years ago, I started studying psychotherapy and counselling. I now have my own sort of practice, and similar to Austin, obviously, just started volunteering as part of that with Quest for Life. Very proud to be part of this weekend program. As Austin mentioned, it's something that's inaugural. It's the first time that Quest are running it, and I'm very proud to be part of it, because what brought me here today is my own journey, which has been some of struggle with my own challenges over the years, which has led me to counseling and therapy. And I want to share that with other men and maybe share part of my experience. Maybe it can help. But I'm now looking forward to sharing that and being part of a community, and very proud to be part of that offering. So that's me.
Thanks, Paul. How this program will run, or the intent of it, is it was developed for certain reasons, and then we developed a purpose statement as well. So the makeup of the program will be that there will be myself and Paul who will be the main facilitators, but our facilitation is ably supported by two other support workers. So there'll be four of us involved in it from a support standpoint. So the main purpose of this whole program is really about empowering men, and empowering men so that they can be heard and supported. And we can talk about empowerment, and it can be quite a loose term, but as we will see it, we want to be able to harness people's inner strength, and that's how we understand this idea of empowering people. And so it's really trying to work with the capabilities and their potential through self-awareness, through support, but also, and maybe most specifically, through connection. My own experience through working with men and men's tables and different things is one of the most valuable things that men can do is to connect to other men. And we called it the Herd Program because we want men to be heard. We want to hear their stories because every man's story is powerful. And when men turn up in an authentic way, the power of their story has ripple effects. And so it impacts other people. And so we want to bring men together in order to create that great collective. So that's the herd aspect, but also to be able to share their story in an environment which is safe, an environment where, you know, there's no judgment or the judgment is minimized. It's very difficult to find an environment where that sense of judgment is missing. And so we're very aware that we want to have some guidance around non-judgment and 100% listening. And this is providing a very unique environment for men to be in. So we have the empowerment, we have the heard bit, and then we also have the supported bit. And so you'll be supported by your peers, and you'll be supported by Quest for Life's facilitation team. So we're all in this together. The four of us who are the facilitation team are very aware that we are part of the circle of men. And so although we are giving something and presenting some information, we're pretty much the same as you. So we're learning at the same time, but we're in the space with you. And it's really important for us that we share our stories in order for you to share your stories. So that's really the purpose behind it, empowerment to be heard and supported. And it was developed from this point of view where we feel that men get overlooked a little bit when it comes to being heard. And so we wanted to create this vault or a container or a cauldron for men to be able to express themselves. And expressing themselves where men, the other men, just listen. You know, we all know this gig about let's provide advice. You've got a problem, I've got the solution. You know, we want to be able to come into a conversation that's very different to that. And so the conversations that we will have will be different to that. And consequently, there'll be different outcomes. What those outcomes are remain to be seen. So that's the whole purpose of it. Paul, can I pass to you? Is there something you need to add just to that?
No, I think you pretty much nailed it, Austin. Seen, heard, and believed. An environment that is non-judgmental. I love that. We live in a world where we're constantly judged, whether it's at work, what we do materialistically, and this will be a space that will be safe and secure, where every man's story will be heard and believed and listened to. There will be a lot of, I believe, shared experience in the room too, of different, you know, experiences that men have, where we'll be able to safely discuss those and work through them. We've geared it towards all men too, not just specific men of all ages, whether they're young or more the elders in the community, because we believe it will be non-hierarchical. Obviously, we're facilitating. We need to just make sure it's all going correctly. But as Austin said, what we want to do is form a community that continues after the program, where we share a lot of stuff. And often with a lot of these retreats, etc., people may spend a weekend, a week, they have some changes, some shifts, then they go back out the world, and that's it. What we hope to do is build a community of all the men that are involved and be supported throughout the whole process. So that's pretty much what it's about, I think.
Yeah, great. For sure.
Can anybody actually hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
MVLM up there, but I can't seem to get my camera to work.
That's okay. You're very welcome. And
I'm Mark anyway, but I can hear you all. That's
good.
That's most important.
Good to hear, Mark.
Nice to meet you, Mark.
maybe you just missed it at the start. So the way that we've set up this evening's information session, Mark, is we're just going to put everybody on mute, and myself and Paul will just talk about the program, the design of the program, who's it for. And Mark, if you have any questions, put them into the chat, and we'll answer some. We'll have a Q&A at the end of this, towards the end of this session. So, and that makes it just easier. You can listen, and then there might be questions that are elicited as a consequence of something that we shared, and then we can pick it all up at the end.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome, and again, welcome.
Welcome, Mark.
So let me talk about the program and how it's designed and the structure of it. So firstly, the structure of it. So everybody, whoever's not familiar with the Quest for Life programs, and Quest for Life has been up and running since the early, think about maybe 1984. And the work that Petrea King has done has really stood the test of time, and it is phenomenal work. And it's phenomenal work because we know that the programs that still run today are foundational and transformative as well for people who have different struggles in life. And so this men's program takes a lot of the beautiful experiences and the beautiful knowledge from Petrea, and we have kind of dropped it into this program, but we've also created other things that we think men need, specifically that men might need a little bit more. So it's a little bit of a compendium of what Quest for Life have done for a long time, and then our own life experiences and what it is that we really deem would be appropriate or beneficial for men. So given that, from an optimization point of view, we're hoping to have a maximum of 16 people on the program. To us, that is the optimum number of people that we can have on the program, which allows for people to have the fullness of the experience through conversation, through sharing, through connection, through accountability and commitment. And so on the back of this program, or this session, we're going to have a Zoom session when people have decided if they want to participate. And that is when the program starts, not the weekend. So there's going to be a Zoom session that will run for 90 minutes, and that will have all the participants present. And the purpose of that is so we can get to know each other, like just over Zoom. And I know there's limits to that as well, but nonetheless, we can use it. But also, we can incorporate some of the teachings that's going to happen as a consequence of the program, and we're going to bring it in just for information purpose for participants, so that participants have a flavor of what's going to happen. So when they come on the program on the Friday the 22nd, that they're familiar with people and they're familiar with maybe what the content is going to deliver. So after that, then there's going to be the Friday, half-day Friday, this full-day Saturday, and the Sunday, and that's going to be the face-to-face, and that's the kind of the transformative stage. That's where all the learnings happen, and not the learnings through teaching, but learnings through your experience as well. And that's really important in the empowerment space, that you have an experience that's really unique to yourself, and that's where some empowerment can live. And so our idea is that we use that weekend to really get to know each other, to create connections, camaraderie, to create a sense of accountability for people, and all the other things that bring people together. And we talked earlier on around 100% listening and confidentiality and non-judgment. And there's a few other guidelines that we're really going to weave into the weekend, so that there's a real space for people to feel safe to express who they are, what they are, their story, their life experiences, their thoughts, their ideas. It needs to be a really safe place. And the Quest for Life, the Quest for Life location in Bundanoon is a beautiful space to feel safe. The healing, so much healing has happened since the early 80s, and you can really feel it there. But there's also grounds around the Quest for Life building, if you're not familiar with, that you can go walking in, and you can go and spend time there. And so it can be a great time for connection and reflection. So that would be the program, but we're not just going to leave it at that because myself and Paul really believe that 2 days is a little bit of time, but we really want to find a time for integration. And so the integration is the time after we meet face to face. And how that's going to be set up is that we'll all know each other at this stage. And so there's a commitment that everybody turns up for 3 different Zoom calls. And those Zoom calls will be at specific junctures after the weekend that haven't been set up yet, but will be communicated in due course. And the purpose of those is to see how people are traveling, so that people feel as if they're still connected to Quest for Life, to us, to the peers and the facilitators. And so it's kind of taking the weekend and bringing it back online, and so that people can really gain momentum in their learnings. And so that's going to be part of it. And from there, who knows what will happen in relation to the connectivity and the connections that you make. But we do ask men to feel a sense of commitment and accountability for this. My experience of men being accountable is when we say this is how it is, men are phenomenal and fabulous at going, yeah, I'm in. And then that's it. And so there's no exit doors. And that might seem a little bit harsh. But my experience working with men, designing this program, talking to other people, is when they're given a way to do things, and that's the way, then men are committed. And so that was the real point of this aspect of the program, this integration bit. Paul and myself mentioned earlier on that both of us are counselors and psychotherapists. One of the invitations is also for men to have a counseling session at some stage after the weekend. And the reason why we put it after the weekend is so that men can take time to process. Some process quickly. Personally speaking, I'm a bit of a slow processor. And so a week, 2 weeks after the program might be a great time to go, hey, I need to talk about this. And so myself and Paul are available for that. So there's another offering as part of this in order to stay connected to the Quest program and the learnings. So again, the weekend is kind of sandwiched between Zoom calls where we get to know each other more. Paul, do you have anything you'd like to add to that detail?
Not really. You've expressed it beautifully. You've captured the mission statement, what we're about to, what we're doing. I don't really want to add anything, only to say that similar to Austin, from my own experience of different men's work, I do believe this is quite unique. The pre-weekend work, the weekend itself, and the integration after. And that's all I wanted to add there. I think quite a point of difference. And the men that attend will be taken on that journey from as Austin said, the first Zoom call, the following one from this, right to the end, and safely held in that whole period. And that's all I need to say to that.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
And so, getting into the details, so maybe what are some of the things that happen? Well, those familiar with Quest for Life or who have attended a program will be familiar with some of the teachings, but the way that the teachings are communicated are a little bit different. And so what we're really aware of is men being able to grab a little bit of a teaching and to discuss it. And what we're really looking forward to is creating small breakout rooms where men can sit in small groups and talk about what their experience of the teaching is. Because that's where the value lies, and being able to share and being able to hear what other men's experiences are. We live in a time, unfortunately, where, the stats for loneliness and isolation for men are through the roof, unfortunately. And that's been one of the reasons why why we want to bring in this idea of camaraderie and listening, and being able to share, and really sharing from the heart rather than sharing from a global space. We want to have different kinds of conversations, as I said earlier on, in order to be able to potentially have different kinds of outcomes. So there'll be a lot of breakout groups to have open discussions so that people can understand the learnings in themselves. You see, when we think something and then we share it, there's different things happening, different brain waves and stuff. And so sometimes our thoughts, when they come out of us, we realize some new things about ourselves and about the thoughts that we're having. So really thinking about sharing and listening. And I know I've said it a few times at this stage, but it's nearly the bedrock of what we do, because when you get heard, things change. So I really wanted just to emphasize that. And there's a lot of play involved in the program. So it's not all serious and whatever. There's a sense of playfulness. We'll hopefully, fingers crossed, that we'll be able to spend some time in the outdoors, out in nature, doing things with our hands, which is kind of what we really want to espouse, is this idea of, men having things that are tactile and working with them. And so working together. And so there's play aspects. There's going to be different things. And I'm not going to give all the game away now, but it's a real question of, morning stretches. Like, we'll do morning stretches, and it's not yoga and it's not qigong or anything like that. But it's about like a mindful movement. How do we enter into our day? And so imagine the day is how you enter into your day. And then whatever happens in your day is whatever happens in your day. And the way that we've developed this program is, and then the way that you exit your day is really important. And so we've set this up that the stronghold at the start of the day and at the end of the day are really important. And then what we put in the middle is just all the information, all the playtime, all the sharings. And so that's kind of what the program will be. We'll be learning, chatting, connecting, playing, experiencing something maybe new in yourself, developing a sense of maybe some level of emotional resilience, true shared experiences. So I'm very excited about this program, as I know Paul is as well. And it's been a dream child for us for a while, and we're so excited about delivering it. So I'm going to hand over to Paul now, and maybe, Paul, you can talk about some other aspects of the program. You're on mute.
Yeah. Again, Austin, you've summarized it beautifully. Yeah, all I can say is, as Austin mentioned, a lot of the content will be very much Quest focused. I had the privilege of being at Quest last week for the Heal Your Life, which was a 5-day program. And Austin's had experience, obviously, with facilitating these programs, to groups as such. So what we've done is summarize some of the content that we believe will be specific to men. There's some very interesting content there that we will share, as well as Austin mentioned, a lot of things incorporating play and everything else. As I say, Austin, you presented it beautifully. There's nothing too much more I want to add around that. That's it.
Can you talk, Paul, about like who actually this is for?
Yeah. Okay. So this is basically for all men. So young men could potentially be teenage, and the reason why I'm saying this is because we know from Quest the feedback of people that have been asking about this potential program with Quest. So men from all different types of ages, from teenagers to what we term as elders, people that have a lot of experience in life that are looking to share. But what we're excited about the program too is that this will be obviously a mixed group of all different ages and experiences, and we will all learn from each other. The elders there sharing their life experience of maybe they struggled with depression or divorce or addiction, and maybe the younger ones, they may have been going through that experience. And we appreciate obviously the maybe the mentorship and the shared experience in the group. So in summary, it's geared towards all men. As we said at the start, it's an environment where we want men to be seen, heard, and believed. No judgment. And unlike obviously in perhaps the working environment out there, no judgment regarding age. In fact, age is honored within this. We will be really respectful and in terms of eldership and the experience that people are sharing. So geared towards all men from all different type of experiences. Yeah, nothing further to add to that, I don't think.
Awesome. So that's the program.
Yeah.
Without going into every session, but I hope what myself and Paul have shared with you kind of gives you a sense of the program or feeling of the program. And if there's other things that you need to learn, or there's other things that you are interested in, if it doesn't fall into the Q&A this evening, as I said earlier on, there'll be an FAQ that we will put together that will be online. But also, if you're interested in the program, there's a contact number, and you can get in contact with the programs team at Quest for Life, who will be able to give you some more specific information around maybe the logistics of the program and the costings of the program and such like. And they're amazing at their job. So if there's anything that you need to know, get in contact with the programs team. They're efficient and effective, and they're well over all the ins and outs of this program. As I said earlier on, there's only space for 16 participants, but we've also locked in 2 more weekend programs. So the first one is the 22nd of November, and then next year around the weekend of the 3rd of March, we're going to have a program as well. Same setup or same structure as this one.
Yeah.
And then a third program we'll do around the last weekend in June.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I mentioned that is that if November might be too soon, or it's not workable for all the reasons that we know that life gets in the way, but you'd still like to attend, there's 2 other programs that would be run, so they might suit you better from a timing point of view. So I just wanted to share that as well. So what we would like to do is to create these 3 weekend programs and then see what happens from there. So that's our vision. I don't have anything else to add. So I might hand over to Brad. Hey, Brad, if is there anything that you'd like to add, or do you want to ask us some questions that might have come through the chat? I can't see the chat at the moment, so I've surprised me.
No worries. Thanks, Austin. Look, you've done a great job with Paul and covered a lot of questions that have come through already. So thank you for that. There are a couple here. I've got a question here regarding, is it a alcohol and drug-free event?
In short, yes.
Yeah.
It's an alcohol and illicit drug-free weekend. Obviously, if people are on prescription medication, obviously that's acceptable, but illicit drugs and alcohol, and we're saying that our preference is that we're free of those 2 things.
Excellent. Thank you. And another question, do you have to participate in every session?
I'll go, Austin.
Sure.
The similar answer, the clear answer is yes. If men are taking time to obviously commit to that weekend, it's 2 nights, 3 days, basically. Usually the programs are run over 5 days, and we've prepared the content specifically for a weekend, and it's important that men, that word of turning up, showing up for every session. A man may not want to necessarily contribute, just be there, but yeah, we would encourage and want every man to turn up for every session. There's a reason for that. As Austin said before, there's 3 stages to the program. It's really important because the content will flow throughout the weekend. So yes, we would like men to participate in every program or every part of it, every session.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's
And there's one. Sorry, Austin. Beg your pardon.
sorry, I was just going to add to what Paul said, just around commitment.
Yeah.
And the commitment is to yourself on your own personal journey. And look, we all understand that there might be sessions that might be too early in the morning. You know, we do a session around rest and how we can prepare and rituals that we can have in order to be able to rest better. You know, in this day and age, there's a term around like people being busy all the time. So it's really important that that's countered with people being able to rest often. And so that's a part of the program that we're really looking forward to, and hearing what people's experiences around sleep. So there's the commitment to self, and that's the personal journey, and that's the greatest thing that you need to honor. As well, then there's the commitment to all the other men that are there.
Yeah.
And this is a really important aspect of it, because this is where we are in connection with other people. And so I've done a lot of work with men, and one thing in all of the other men's work that I do is that if you imagine that there's 10 men on a table, or 10 men in a circle, or 10 men connected, you turn up 10% for yourself and 90% for everybody else. And I know it from playing sports.
Yeah.
God, you know, it was awful when somebody didn't turn up and you were down a man, and you're kind of going, oh my God. So there's that aspect of it. You know, there's the commitment, which will be at the start of the program. And obviously, you know, life happens and all that sort of stuff. But to commit to being on at every session should be the thing that you focus on. That might have been a little bit of a roundabout way to answer the same question.
That's great. Thanks, Austin. I guess this question may have been asked before in the session, but I will put it forward anyway. What happens after the program?
Yeah. So the difference with this weekend, Brad, is that the men are going to have a shared experience for everything that we've discussed, but the importance of integration after. And this is from my own experience, from Austin's, in different men's work, different sort of retreats, etc. Integration is as important as the primary stage and the weekend itself. So yes, there will be, as Austin mentioned, similar to this, a Zoom call after, where we will gather and share how we've gone the last couple of weeks. And obviously we'll hopefully be more of a band of brothers. A community is formed where the trust is there, where we've shared a lot of our stories, and we will be able to come in and share, obviously in that moment with the group, about how we've gone in that period. As well as that, Austin and I, obviously both accredited psychotherapists and counselors. Another point of difference is that we will have individual sessions with the men who attend, where they can discuss things that they don't particularly want to share in the group, or their experience of the weekend itself, feedback, what's going on for them, and obviously how we can support them and expand on this community. So the idea is obviously it continues, the community continues. It's not just that weekend, we go on. Hope that's answered that, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's terrific. Thank you so much for that, Paul.
You're welcome.
That's it for the questions I've got. So, and I think Mark just posted something. Mark,
can you just read that out, Brad, please?
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple that have come in here. Mark's just asked, I'm just checking that the weekend we're discussing is November the 22nd to the 24th.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yep, cool. And also, you've mentioned accountability several times. Can you explain this further? What does it mean to me during the weekend component, the accountability?
Mark, I hope, to me, just from my own, I think it just means turning up. It's just being present, turning up for yourself, as Austin said. It could be just 10% for yourself, but 90% for the other group. So accountable for yourself for the weekend, but also the others that show up. That to me is the answer to the question. Maybe I don't want to elaborate, Austin, but it's as simple purely as that, and no expectations other than just being there and being present.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, and thanks for the question. This idea of accountability. So I like to think about accountability in two ways. There's the self-accountability, and then there's the mutual accountability. And so the self-accountability is about like being in the integrity of your own decisions, being responsible for what it is that you do, and being responsible for your own personal growth and for the decisions that you make. And so being responsible for that might mean that, yeah, this is what I did, this is what I do. And that's a really important thing in relation to accountability. The mutual accountability, I sense, is the accountability amongst peers, where we decide, where we decide that the accountability is amongst everybody, that we're all in this together. So that's how I like to think about accountability. There's that aspect about it, what it is for you in relation to your own personal development and your own journey, and your own emotional aspects of things, whether that's developing new emotional skills. And then there's where it is within the group. So I hope that answers the question about accountability. But it's one of the bedrocks of this program is the accountability aspect. Accountability, commitment are really, and integrity are really, really important. Yeah. Thanks, Brad. Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions, Brad?
Austin, I don't have any. Not sure if Bob may have some. Are you okay, Bob?
Awesome. Well, we'll just give it a minute, and maybe a question might come up for somebody just as we sit here. We've got a few minutes before we can wrap it up. But maybe there's some question that might turn up for somebody. So happy just to just wait and see. Yeah. And while we're doing that, I'm so hoping that that the weather this weekend is gonna be as November weather in Australia should be. Nice, warm and dry. Because that will really help with some of the outdoor pursuits that we have put into this program. So, fingers crossed. We have a plan B, but nonetheless, it would be so great to do things in the outdoors rather than inside. Yeah, I think another question might be coming in, Brad.
Oh yes. So will there be a FAQ sheet that's released in regards, to the program?
Yes, there will be. So there'll be standard FAQs for all programs, which will be an aspect of it. The questions that were asked this evening, we will put them up as well and expand on them. And then any other questions that we deem might be appropriate for us to respond to, they will all be put up. So they'll be put up on the website and they're easy to access. Just something that maybe was just overlooked in relation to the program itself and the fact that it's residential. So for those, again, who are unfamiliar with Quest, you can stay in a shared room, your own room. All the food will be provided at Quest, and the food is just top drawer. it is so nourishing, and it's such a phenomenal offering, to have such nourishing and healthy and wholesome food for the weekend, because that coupled with the idea of getting rest, getting connection, is a very holistic approach that we have taken to this program, and we believe through our own experience at Quest and through our own lived experience, this is again such an important part of this program, this holistic approach.
Yeah.
Where do I find all of the info about the program? Is there a website that I can go to specifically for the herd men, or do I go through the Quest site to get to the information?
So you can go through the Quest website.
Yeah.
And so you can search through the herd man on the Quest website. That's our way. Another way is if you want to ring Quest and ask any questions, and they can point you in the right direction. But yes, it's on the website. There's the Facebook, there's social media that Quest use, Instagram, Facebook, the standard social media platforms, where if you put in Quest for Life, you will see the herd man and some of the information about that program which sits in that. So on the website, social media, there's some ways that you can find more information about the program. Yep. And Brad, do you know of any other places where it can be accessed?
No, no, that's my understanding, Austin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
I just got another question come in. Will I learn some practical tools that might be able to help me with some of my struggles, my depression and anxiety?
Okay, can I go that one there? So
yes,
the answer is absolutely yes. So as Austin mentioned, things such as food, etc., is catered for. There'll be sessions around rest, and particularly around tools to help. Because obviously the weekend you're going to be very nurtured, but as you leave the integration process, yes, tools and strategies to help empower yourself with those challenges. I don't want to talk about my story particularly, but I've just found in my own journey, Quest has been extraordinary in me, for somebody who is a massive seeker looking to get well. Quest was, an extraordinary place for me to go to. And I repeat, this is obviously, I've been 2 or 3 times now as a volunteer and as a participant. It's been very helpful in terms of the tools and strategies on my own journey, which I now practice daily. So in that weekend, it is very much geared towards those sort of practical tools, but further supported, as we said, with the community after, and the support that Austin and I will provide in the follow-up Zoom calls and the counselling sessions. So I think for the space of a weekend, yes, we'll be covering that as best as we can. And very much healing will be the shared experience where men will be able to speak openly about these kind of struggles that we face, whether it be depression, anxiety, addiction. You'll be with men who have shared experience. And we want people to be courageous, to step forward. Austin talked about authority and turning up. We just want to make sure that everyone understands that it's a safe, secure environment where the healing will happen. And that includes those secure strategies and tools we believe that you will leave with. I hope that answers that, Brad.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add, Brad, sorry, is around, like, from a facilitation point of view, and there's participants who come to Quest for Life and who come back to the same program, or to a program, a 5-day program, and they talk about something that they didn't learn in the first time they were here, but they heard it the second time they were here. And so even if the programs are the exact same, there's something new that they learn. And so my experience is when we come in an intentional way, maybe with an intention about what it is that we'd like to work with at the weekend, when we have that intention, kind of magic happens.
Yeah.
And we start hearing those things that are linked to those intentions in the teachings, through a conversation, through all the different ways that we can learn. And so that's part of the magic of being in a group setting and just being open to whatever it is that you're open to.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you got some information that might excite you about this up and coming program. If you'd like more information or you want to contact Quest directly, you can contact them on 1300 941 488. That's 1300 941 488. Thanks very much.